I know that for most folks out there, 7.5 inches is just about perfect. You know, anything 7 and under, you just don't feel. And 8 inches and above, well, it just feels gratuitous. And you really start to stretch your pockets. I'm talking about EDC knife length, of course. I don't know what you guys are thinking about. But if 7.5 inches is your jam, then Kizer's got us covered today with not one, not even two, but 3 killer new EDCs, all different, but all in that 7.5 inch range. You're going to want to see these ones, folks. Stick around. What it do, Kripple Krew? EDC with DBD, disabled but deadly. And that's right, we've got 3 killer Kizers to cover today. So we're going to get into it right after you make sure that you've stabbed that like button, that you've /subscribe, and that you bash that bell so you don't miss anything like upcoming giveaways and new product launches. Now, I do want to give a quick shout out to the Lefty EDC and the Lefty EDC Pass Around group. These 3 knives are in via the Pass Around group. That means that they have not had the time to get a full review, but I have carried them and I can give you some, my initial impressions of them. So with that said, we are going to start off with the Kizer Madrac. The Kizer Madrac is a Matteo Pignatelli design that comes in at 7.47 inches overall length with a 3.6 inch sheepsfoot blade of NitroV with a flat grind and a satin finish. We have a handle length of 4.41 inches with full steel liners and micarta scales. We have a blade stock thickness of 110 thousandths and an overall weight of 3.29 inches. This is operated via the dual thumb studs, which of course both work fantastic, and Kizer's clutch lock. Kizer long ago figured out the special sauce on crossbar locks, and their clutch lock is one of the best out there. This one is no exception, and not only does it feel fantastic, you have enough resistance for a good detent, and as soon as I pull those springs back, that blade closes. But if it's not to your liking, there is 5 different settings on each side that allow you to tune it how you like it. It's offered with this brown micarta and purple accents on the pivot cap and thumb studs, or a black micarta with gold accents on the pivot cap and thumb stud. It is tip up as the gods intended, mostly deep carry, and reversible as all crossbar locks should be, since they are an ambidextrous locking system. The pocket clip is not inset, but they do use flat screws. Okay. Action feels like a clutch lock. You know, the blade shape is a great EDC blade shape. Whoop, that was my fault. Yes, there we go. It's a great EDC blade shape because it lends itself very well to slicing tasks, but also to detailed tasks in like a pinch grip or a utility grip. Definitely easy to open packages with that low tip. It's easy to use the tip for precision work. This does give us a little bit of belly, so you can do some cutting on a flat surface, but it also allows you to have some belly for tasks where that's useful. Ergos on this, behind the pivot, I do get, these are all going to be very similar in size. I do get a full 4-finger grip. I wear an extra large size glove. I have a little bit of room behind my pinky, and I could use that angled spot. It's not uncomfortable. I could use that for a pinky spot if my hands were bigger. Choked up over the pivot right behind the blade feels very good with this knife. You have a lot of strength and control in cuts with the Madrac. And the jimping on it feels really good as well. For a couple of quick size comparisons, here it is next to the Munko 80-20.5, which comes in at just a little longer. How about the brand new Flightanium Arcade? Probably 2025's best budget knife of the year, and it's going to be slightly longer than the Kizer Madrac. The ergos, it does feel a little thin back here, but not uncomfortably so. Like if this were a little bit taller, I believe it'd be a little bit more comfortable back here, but it's not bad. It is, like I said, really good choked up. Pretty neutral for turning it around in any reverse cuts like this. In a gas station Avenger grip, I am capped off over the butt, and Micarta gets stickier as it gets wet, so I have no worries about slipping on any beef jerky juice. Flip it around into a beef jerky Defender, and it's even more comfortable, and the pocket clip is really locked into my hand. The crossbar lock is not just an ambidextrous lock that's very easy to use, but it's also finger safe, keeping your fingers out of the path of travel of the blade at all times. And very strong, so highly unlikely to fail on you from any pressure on, exerted while making cuts. We do have our plunge brand starts right here, and it's really not a good termination. But because of how tall the blade is, we do have some sharpening life before it's going to get too thick. NitroV is a really good EDC steel that is very tough and corrosion resistant, and it holds an edge for a decent amount of time. We have T8 on the pivot, and it is a dual-sided pivot. However, I want to see, most of these are, yes it is. It is a captive pivot. So you can adjust on both sides independently, and it also allows, one of the nicest things about the clutch lock and adjusting it is Kizer allows so that you can just take this, take each side off, take the scale off, adjust the spring, and put it back together without having to take the whole knife apart. And if you've ever disassembled a bug out, you know how much of a pain in the rear it can be at times. So it's nice to avoid that. Now, I was going to check. We've got T8 on the body screws. That's awesome. T6 on the pocket screws. I'm not going to harp too much because you're not going to be taking that off probably very often. You'll probably only change it once. Would prefer to see T8s, but I'm not going to harp. I would prefer to see the pocket clip without the Kizer logo on it. But the billboarding isn't too bad for me on the blade itself. Now here's my negative about this. Kizer already has a fantastic sheepsfoot clutch lock knife with Micarta scales available in the Kizer Task. And that is more comfortable in the hand to me. The Micarta feels better on the Task, and even the action felt slightly better on the Task. I personally prefer the design of the Task. That is my biggest negative against the Madrac, is that they already have the Task. But if you like this design, it's a fantastically well-built knife from Kizer, and if you can find them, they're about $65. Everywhere I looked, they were sold out, but if I do see them, I'll link them below. Next up, is a knife that's a little more fun to me, and that's the Kizer Mini Mystic. The Mini Mystic is a Paul Munko design, and it's actually a smaller version of the original Kizer Mystic with Paul Munko. The Mini comes in at 7.58 inches overall length with a 3.2 inch harpooned clip point blade of, in this case, NitroV. There is a couple of options available depending on the scale and blade pairing that you pick. But 3.2 inches on our clip point harpooned NitroV blade, flat grind satin finish. We have a 4.38 inch handle length, a 120 thousandths blade stock thickness, and a weight coming in under 3 ounces, only 2.98 ounces. Now, the Mini Mystic is offered in a few versions. This one is the aluminum with clear acrylic bolster. They're also offered 2 burlap micarta versions, one of which has an aluminum bronze bolster and the other of which has an Ultim bolster with burlap micarta and a 154 cm blade steel. That is the one that is on my list, and after feeling this knife in hand, I pulled the trigger and made the trade with War Room, and I will have an Ultim and burlap micarta version here very, very soon. Now, this is also rocking Kizer's clutch lock, and it also is adjustable, but in this one I can actually show you exactly what I mean. As you can see, the Omega spring here fits into, in this case, it's in the second strongest tension hole. And on this side it is as well. If you wanted a little bit stiffer feel on a stronger resistance on the springs, you could move it forward one position, which right now it actually feels phenomenal. Or if you wanted it a little bit on the lighter side, you can move that spring backwards. And you can actually adjust either side independently without affecting the centering of your blade. So it allows you to really fine tune the feel of your knife. This, I'm going to say right off the bat, is not my usual style of knife. But when I got it in hand, I became a fan. Back here behind the pivot, I do get a full 4-finger grip with a little bit of room left over for my pinky. And I've got this ramp right here with jimping, and I feel locked in. I can throw my thumb up here in that nice poon and choke up over the pivot right behind the blade and feel like I have a lot of control in cuts, and it's still comfortable. For EDC though, this straight clip on here, oh no, it's not straight, but this clip right here brings the tip down right about center line with the pivot, meaning it's very easy to use still in a utility or pinch grip. However, we do get a little bit more belly for, skinning. I don't know if this is going to be your hunting knife, but, cutting on a flat surface, anything you need to do with a belly. Still pretty comfortable to turn it around in a reverse grip for cutting. In a beef jerky Avenger grip, I am locked off and over the curve on the butt of the hilt right there. Pardon me. Flip it around, I'm locked in even more because of the pocket clip, and in a beef jerky Avenger grip, I don't feel like this is going anywhere on me. The aluminum has this millwork, and then it is also blasted. That gives it a really nice soft touch to it, and then chamfered so that it's comfortable in hand. It really offers a lot of different comfortable EDC grips because of this awesome blade shape. Paul Munko is known for designing knives that he doesn't follow straight lines very often. Here, a couple of quick size comparisons. This one's a little bit longer than our last one. It's still going to come in slightly shorter than the Flytanium Arcade. It's going to be very similar in size to the Dimco 80-20.5. Those knives came from the same factory, the two shark locks. And we'll compare it to the Madrac real quick and show you that it's going to be a little bit longer than the Madrac. Not by a lot. Like I said, these are all very similar in size. I do enjoy the Mini Mystic a little bit more. You know, with the dual piece construction here, it is a little bit more money, but this NitroV version comes in at $75. So only $10 more than the Madrac. And it just definitely has more flair and style to it. We get down to a very, whoop, I hit it wrong. This paper is about shot. I need another slice. We get down to a very thin and slicey edge. The stone or satin finish on Kizer's always looks great. One of the reasons I'm such a huge fan, side note, of Ultem and acrylic scales and stuff like we're seeing now is I love being able to see the action of the blade, or the action of the locking system, I should say. You can watch, if you're not familiar with the crossbar lock, you pull this tab back, it pulls that bar back, and it releases the blade. We have a spot right here on the tang of the blade. When it's in the closed position, this tab pushes the bar over the tang of the blade and locks us in. And I just think it's really cool being able to watch all that in a knife. This one, like I said, definitely a little bit more fun. 7.5 inches, $75. Let me know what you guys thinking down in the comments. But we are going to move on to our last knife of the day. And our last knife today is a Gecko Customz Knifeworks design. And that is the Kizer Crest. Gecko Customz Knifeworks started off, the guy that runs it, he's been a big time knife enthusiast for a long time, and started off modifying knives out of his business in Texas, and recently started releasing their own designs. I actually have one of the knives under the Gecko Customz Knifeworks own label that I'll be reviewing in the next couple of days to show you guys. But the Crest comes in at 7.57 inches overall length with a 3.05 inch sheepsfoot blade of S35VN with a Stonewash Stonewash and PVD finish. We have a handle length of 4.52 inches, a blade stock thickness of 120 thousandths, and an overall weight of 3.53 ounces. The Crest is operated by the dual-sided thumb studs or the rear flipper tab, and is also very easy to reverse flick off of the blade. This is a reverse flicking dream because of the shape of the handle, the shape of the blade, and that coating. I can launch this from the stud, from the blade, wherever I want. And it is locked up and closed by a frame lock. We have roughly 40% lockup, and when I move it out of the way, it's an instant dropper. There is no late detent catching that flipper tab. If I didn't have my thumb there, or if I didn't let it hit my thumb on the way down, it would drop the blade straight to my thumb and cut it. The action is, phenomenal. The flipper tab works with the light switch or the push button. We have a lot of access to the lock bar, making it very easy to push over and out of the way. The action on this really is next level phenomenal. I'm going to do a hardware check on this one because it looks like we're T8s. We have a captive T8 pivot. We have T8 body screws, T8 pocket clip screws, and T8 on the hardened steel lock bar insert. You love to see it. Good job, Kizer. T8s all around. I know Gecko had to have pushed for that, but I really wish we would see that on all knives. Just get rid of T6s. I've had them strip on me. They strip a lot easier than T8s. Just give us T8s all around. This comes in two options. This all blacked out finish with the black anodized titanium, or a satin version with a probably a Stonewash titanium, but it's an all silver. And these run right about 150 bucks. For S35VN and titanium with action like that, I'm not mad at that at all. Ergos. It is a thinner knife. This would be an easy gents carry. This would carry well in a suit pocket or, in slacks. Behind the pivot, behind that flipper tab, I can get a full 4-finger grip. I do feel this in my finger, but it's not uncomfortable. But where this is very comfortable is with my finger up in the generous choil and my thumb in that poon. That harpoon really allows me to lock in, and then the handle feels perfect. All the curves feel placed perfectly when I am locked in like this. This is comfortable in a pinch grip to use that low tip or utility style grip. See if we got any paper left to cut. It's going to be slicey as all get out. And S35VN is a very, very well balanced steel for knives. One of the first super steels created specifically for pocket knives. It's a powdered metallurgy steel that gets you a very good blend of toughness, corrosion resistance, and edge retention. If you like to do a little modifying on your own knives, this would be an awesome platform if you're going to do anodizing to get the silver version. But this would also be a very good candidate for a flipper delete because the flicking action is that good, and you could just widen that choil up just a little bit if you wanted to. However, the ergos with the flipper tab are phenomenal, and behind it they do keep me from sliding up on the blade at all. Turning it around to cut straps or something, very comfortable, and this sheepsfoot blade is going to be great for it. And a beef jerky Avenger grip, I am locked in, capped off around the butt of the knife, flip it around into a beef jerky Avenger, and I feel even more locked in because of the pocket clip. So I do not feel like I would slide on that titanium. We do have a lanyard spot back here if you want it. One of the nice things about a frame lock, even though I prefer finger safe locks, at least with a frame lock, when you are closing your hand, you're applying pressure to the lock, making it harder for that lock to fail on you. So even though we always recommend a fixed blade in any beef jerky defense scenario, you use what you have on you, and at least you're going to be squeezing that lock bar tight if you're using the knife. I'm normally not a fan of speed holes, but I think these look good the way that they did it, and it just flows with the design. Of the three, this is definitely my favorite. Now, it's easy to say that because the Mini Mystic wasn't the Micarta and Ultim one, and I have that version on the way. But I think Crest, or Gecko Customz Knifeworks did a great job with this design on the Crest, and Kizer's implementation of it is phenomenal. One more size comparison. Even though all the knives are about the same size, I'm going to give you the Arcade, which will once again come in slightly longer. How about the Demko 8020.5, which is going to be almost the exact same length as the Kizer Crest. Dog hair in the way. And for a last size comparison, how about our other two knives? Starting with the Madrac. The Madrac is the shortest of the bunch. And the Mini Mystic, which is going to come in at almost the exact same size as the Crest, but has more blade. So there we go. 3 new Kizers from $65 to $149. All of them done very well. I want to know which is your favorite. Let me know in the comments below if you own one of these or if you're going to pick one up. I will link at least the 2 that I know are available below. Those will be affiliate links, so they do help my channel when you use those. I appreciate you using my links, but that's completely up to you. Until next time, stay safe, stay frosty, but most importantly, stay deadly.